Budapest's strategic calculation, a potential EU loan Unfrozen, a calculated gamble by Orbán contingent on Kyiv's compliance, risks destabilizing the broader Eastern European security architecture. The unfolding situation surrounding Viktor Orbán's willingness to reconsider his veto on the Euro 90 billion EU loan to Ukraine represents a significant, albeit strategically motivated, shift in Hungarian foreign policy.
This decision, predicated on a demand for the resumption of Ukrainian oil deliveries, underscores a complex interplay of national interests, geopolitical pressures, and a desperate attempt to reassert Hungary's influence within the European Union. The urgency stems from the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the resultant economic strain impacting Hungary, coupled with a desire to leverage the EU's financial support to mitigate these challenges.
This potential shift creates a dangerous precedent, blurring the lines between solidarity and self-interest within the alliance, and necessitates a thorough assessment of the long-term implications for European security and cohesion.
The shifting sands of alliance loyalty. Hungary's move exposes the fragility of consensus within the EU, demonstrating the potential for individual member states to prioritize national concerns over collective security. The current context is defined by a rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape characterized by persistent Russian aggression and a widening rift between Western democracies.
The EU's commitment to supporting Ukraine has faced considerable resistance, particularly from nations reliant on Russian energy imports, highlighting the inherent tensions between security considerations and economic vulnerabilities. Hungary, historically a staunch supporter of the EU's collective response, has increasingly voiced concerns about the potential impact of sanctions on its economy, fueled in part by a narrative of perceived Western overreach.
This strategic recalibration, driven by Orbán's impending departure, reveals a prioritization of short-term economic gains over long-term security commitments, potentially undermining the EU's ability to maintain a unified front against external threats. Furthermore, the political ramifications within Germany, as evidenced by the Merz-Macron disputes, indicate a broader struggle for leadership and a fracturing of the traditional Franco-German dynamic, adding another layer of complexity to the situation.
The mechanics of leverage oil as a political instrument. Orbán's demand for oil deliveries exposes the vulnerability of EU aid packages to be contingent upon specific politically charged conditions, fundamentally altering the nature of the financial support. The strategic core of Orbán's position rests on the recognition of oil as a potent political instrument.
Ukraine's reliance on Hungarian refineries to process its crude oil provides a tangible leverage point, allowing Orbán to directly influence the disbursement of EU funds. This tactic exploits the inherent complexities of the loan agreement, which includes provisions for member states to benefit from the funds, effectively turning the aid package into a vehicle for Hungary to address its economic concerns.
The technical details surrounding the oil trade, including the volume priced and logistical arrangements, will undoubtedly become a central point of negotiation, potentially leading to protracted delays and further exacerbating tensions within the EU. Moreover, this approach sets a dangerous precedent, suggesting that future EU aid could be subject to similar conditionalities, jeopardizing the integrity of the entire mechanism and eroding trust between member states.
The underlying driver here is not simply economic hardship, but a calculated effort to regain lost geopolitical influence.
Prognosis, fragmentation and delayed response. The potential unraveling of the Euro 90 billion loan underscores the increasing risk of EU fragmentation and a delayed, less effective response to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Looking ahead, the consequences of Orbán's maneuver could be profoundly destabilizing.
The immediate risk is the continued blockage of EU funds, hindering Ukraine's ability to sustain its defense efforts and prolonging the conflict. More broadly, this episode exposes the fragility of the EU's collective decision-making process, highlighting the potential for individual member states to undermine the alliance's unity.
The likelihood of further disputes over conditionalities and the potential for other nations to follow suit increases significantly, creating a fractured and less responsive system. Furthermore, the precedent set by this maneuver will undoubtedly embolden other actors seeking to leverage EU aid for their own strategic objectives, creating a more complex and unpredictable geopolitical environment.
Ultimately, the strategic next steps require a swift and decisive response from the EU, coupled with a renewed commitment to fostering a more resilient and unified alliance capable of effectively addressing the challenges of the 21st century.